We're at PDAC2015 and I'm in the booth of Explor Resources, which is TSXV EXS, and I'm speaking with the President and CEO, Chris Dupont. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you very much. It was nice to see you.
Now, we've been looking at this resource and you've got a couple of really exciting things going on. And before we get to the big news, let's just talk about the resource for a second.
Well, we have close to 1 million ounces, over 1 million ounces of gold on our Timmins Porcupine West property. And it's 2,000 meters of strike length, open on both ends for another kilometer, which could potentially give us 4 kilometers of strike length of gold. So it's open at depth, and we have 2 wings on the synclinal structure, a north limb and a south limb. Right now we're on the south limb.
So you said a kilometer strike, potential kilometer strike length?
No, we have 2 kilometers of strike length right now.
Right now.
And potentially we could increase that to 4 kilometers, because we have 1 kilometer that's open on both ends of the structure on our ground.
How did you come across this discovery? Because we've been looking at it, and you've got some at surface which you can open pit, but you also have a much larger resource just down a little way.
We have an open pit resource potentially of 1,800 meters of strike length, and we've got about 200,000 ounces that's open pittable, around 1.8 grams per ton. We could increase that by another 400,000, or another 200,000 ounces rather, to about 400,000 ounces total with a small amount of drilling. Underground we have fairly high grade. We've got some grades that are anywhere from 6 grams, 7 grams, 8 grams, over anywhere from 10 to 14 meters of thickness. That's the high grade, and the high grade we believe could extend the whole length of the structure, which means potentially 2,000 meters of strike length in 5 shear zones.
Over this distance that you've defined, 1 million ounces, that's only quite a small part of the total strike length, isn't it? Potential strike length.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to make an estimated resource on what you've found so far, this is not a defined resource or inferred or measured, but if you were to just say extend that resource for the full strike length, how many ounces are we looking at?
Initially, when we built the model of the structure, we used the Hollinger-McIntyre system as a model, and we feel there's a potential of anywhere from 20 to 30 million ounces in this structure.
That's a colossal amount of gold.
It'll probably be one of the largest discoveries in the last century in the Timmins mining camp.
Chris, you don't look as excited as I feel about this resource. All right, now let's talk about something really interesting. You've attracted a major player here, and I'm sure many people are familiar with the company Teck. Now they've offered to come in and assist you with the project, is that correct?
Yeah, well, Teck spent the last 9 months studying all our data, and they went and did the modeling, recompleted the model that we did, and they confirmed all our results. So they decided that they would want to become involved with Explor. Now they signed an agreement whereas they're going to gain 55% by spending $8 million, and then they can gain another 15% by spending another $4 million for a total of $12 million, whereas they will have 70%, and then we'll go into a joint venture mode with Teck having 70% and Explor having 30%. We're quite excited about that. Teck being a major, being that they can afford to develop a mine. So once we get to be the 70-30 joint venture phase, then positive feasibility study will be conducted. I expect the cost to build a mine to be around $500 million.
That's quite economical, really, considering.
It's very, very good cost, because we're in the Timmins camp, the infrastructure is all in place. Now, a similar project that Goldcorp developed in northern Quebec cost them $1.4 billion. So Teck could conceivably build a mine in Timmins for around $500 million.
Wow, that's much cheaper. The resource is actually located whereabouts? If someone was to look on a map, where would they find that resource?
If you zoom in on Timmins, and then you turn around and go west of Timmins about 13 kilometers.
In a bigger picture scenario.
Bigger picture scenario.
So let's start with a country and move down.
Well, look at Canada. Then once you get into Canada, you go to Timmins, Ontario. Okay, Timmins located in northern Ontario. Once you get to Timmins, then you'll zoom down to the city of Timmins, and you go west of the city of Timmins about 13 kilometers, and that's where you'll find our property.
13 kilometers from a major town?
Well, 13 kilometers from downtown Timmins, yes.
Wow.
Fantastic.
So that guarantees your infrastructure.
Well, you've got the hospitals, the roads, the schools, The main power line goes through the middle of the property. The main highway goes through the middle of the property. We even have a 6-inch gas line into the middle of the property.
Power.
So the services are there. It's fantastic, really.
Now, in terms of defining this resource a little further and doing this drilling, what's the time frame for the drilling?
Teck will start drilling probably in June or July. Initially, they're going to move onto the property in April and May. There they'll do a lot of the study of the core. They're going to use specialized instrumentation to determine the alteration on the core. Then they're going to remodel it again. Then they'll come in and start drilling.
Fantastic.
We'll be there to supply them with technical expertise as far as where to drill and how to drill. So our people will be there to help them.
So if investors are looking at the project, it's explorresources.ca?
Explor Resources, it's on the TSX venture.
Yep.
And the symbol is EXS.
EXS. Chris Dupont, thank you very much for talking with us.
Great, bye.
You know, that's a fascinating story, but I just don't think I can squeeze it in.
No.
I think if people hear the 30 million ounces, they go, hang on, let's have another look. Then they'll see that.
Yeah. Well, 30 million ounces, that's what's there. You know, that's...